Warning! What you're about to hear isn't sanitized for comfort or filtered for fragility. This is Data and Dissonance, where the facts cut deep, the laughs hit harder, and the truth doesn't care if it offends your algorithm. We live in a country where free speech is considered hate speech, where accountability is called cruelty, and where the government shuts down but somehow never stops spending your money. If you came for safe spaces and soft landings, turn the dial now. But if you're ready for a dose of raw, unfiltered America, the kind they don't teach in civics class anymore, then strap in, pour your coffee, and brace yourself. Because tonight, we're not pulling punches.
Tonight on Data and Dissonance. Washington still can't get its act together. The government's shutdown showdown is dragging into week 4. And while politicians bicker over line items, 42 million Americans are wondering if their EBT cards will still swipe next week. Meanwhile, social media's melting down with a mix of outrage and threats that range from "we're gonna steal" to "we're gonna riot," because apparently TikTok activism now counts as public policy. And just when you thought late-night TV couldn't get any dumber, Jimmy Kimmel crawls out from his relevance grave to prove otherwise. We'll break it down, roast the hypocrisy, and serve it up hotter than Biden's inflation rate. All right, let's bring in the crew before the power grid shuts down for equity reasons. First up, Brian, who's got more MAGA fire than a California brush season. Brian, I'm assuming you've already drafted a spending bill that balances the budget and builds the wall? Next up, Rachel, our voice of reason, independence, and brutal truth. She's the only one here who can quote the Constitution and still make Brian blush. Rachel, are you ready to school Congress on how math works outside of DC Fantasyland? Daniel, the man who thinks every shutdown is just a distraction from the aliens, the lizard people, or the global banking cabal. And somehow he still makes more sense than half of MSNBC. Daniel, please tell me you didn't connect this shutdown to CERN again. And rounding out the table, Skylar, who's here to remind us that compassion and fiscal restraint can theoretically coexist, though she might lose that argument once we talk about EBT chaos. As for me, I'm Artie, your unapologetic host, your conservative compass, and your reminder that America doesn't need another stimulus check. It needs a reality check. So here we are, day 30 of what the media's calling a shutdown. But let's be honest, the government doesn't really shut down. Congress still gets paid, agencies still waste money, and the IRS somehow never misses a beat. Meanwhile, 42 million Americans are sitting on the edge of their seats wondering if their EBT cards will even work come November 1st. SNAP, WIC, school lunches, it's all on pause while DC does its favorite thing, perform outrage on camera. Biden's old cronies blame Trump's reckless policies. Trump's team fires back with Democrat fiscal insanity. And the average American's sitting there in Walmart trying to figure out if tonight's dinner is ramen or wishful thinking. It's politics as usual. Rich people fighting over who cares more about poor people. Let's get into this before the White House blames Elon Musk for hunger. Brian, you've been warning for months that this was coming. You called it a slow-motion train wreck caused by addiction to spending. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, you're not wrong, Artie. You're prophetic. This is what happens when the left treats the national budget like monopoly money. They scream, "Children will starve," while sending billions overseas to defend countries most Americans couldn't find on a map. You can't keep handing out benefits like Oprah hands out cars and then act shocked when the engine sputters. The welfare system was supposed to be a parachute, not a hammock. And now that the hammock's sagging under its own weight, everyone's looking around wondering who's going to fix it. Well, spoiler alert, it's not the same people who broke it. They're too busy tweeting compassion from their gated communities.
You mean Nancy Pelosi's compassion bunker? Yeah, she's probably down there with a bottle of Merlot and a cheese tray labeled "For the People." Daniel, I can already see that glint in your eye. You've been saying this whole mess isn't just incompetence, it's by design.
That's right, because this isn't about budgets, it's about control. Every time the system fails, they introduce a solution that just happens to centralize more power. Look closely. This shutdown's a perfect setup for digital dependency. They'll say, "We can't get physical EBT cards reloaded, so let's roll out our new emergency digital credits. Next thing you know, those credits are programmable, trackable, and reversible. They don't need to ban what you buy. They'll just quietly block it. You think you're getting groceries? They think they're testing the digital leash. They've already done pilot programs in 3 states, under the radar. People laugh at conspiracy theories, but at this point, it's just tomorrow's headlines waiting for confirmation.
Man, I swear you make Alex Jones look like a motivational speaker. Rachel, go ahead, before Daniel starts connecting this to lizard-run grocery stores.
Look, I'm not saying Daniel's wrong. I'm just saying DC doesn't need a conspiracy to screw things up. They're perfectly capable of doing it all by themselves. The shutdown isn't new. It's the same movie we've been watching since the Clinton years. Both sides blame each other. Both sides fundraise off the chaos. And both sides quietly make sure their paycheck's still clear. They'll cut food stamps before they ever cut a congressional lunch budget. And the media? They eat it up. Because nothing sells clicks like fear and poverty. Meanwhile, single moms, veterans, and seniors get used as props in a political cage match nobody wins.
Exactly. DC doesn't need solutions. They need sound bites. Skylar, I know you're the bleeding heart in this bunch, but you've got to admit, throwing more money at this black hole isn't working either.
Sure, but cutting aid while inflation's breaking records isn't exactly a master plan either. You can talk all day about accountability, but it's hard to be fiscally responsible when eggs cost more than gas. People are angry because they feel forgotten. And let's be real, they are. This government shutdown is proof that we've stopped treating human needs as human issues and started treating them as political ammunition. You can call it socialism or corruption, but it all leads to the same thing, people hurting while politicians posture.
Fair point. But at some point, we've got to stop pretending the system's a safety net when it's a spider web. Once you're in, it's almost impossible to get out. Brian, you ever notice how every time the government threatens to run out of money, they never stop paying themselves, Ukraine or Big Pharma?
Oh, of course, the swamp doesn't run out of money. It just runs out of excuses. They've got plenty for war, bailouts, and climate consultants, but ask for a balanced budget and suddenly it's cruelty. I swear the phrase fiscal responsibility triggers Democrats harder than a Trump tweet.
Or a Biden stairway. All right, let's land this plane before TSA shuts us down for economic turbulence. Bottom line, DC's chaos is hitting the kitchen table. People are scared their EBT cards won't reload. Stores are bracing for the fallout, and social media's already lighting the fuse. Coming up next, what happens when that fear turns into fury? We'll talk about the viral TikTok videos where some folks are threatening to start stealing if benefits don't hit by November 1st. It's ugly, it's real, and it's exactly what happens when the system trains people to depend instead of empower. So, as if the shutdown drama wasn't bad enough, now social media's decided to turn economic panic into viral content. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, X. They're flooded with videos of people threatening to start stealing if their EBT benefits don't hit by November 1. I'm not exaggerating. One video's literally titled, "If my card don't reload, Walmart better lock the doors." I wish that was satire. Some of these videos are real, some are AI deepfakes, but the outrage feels way too genuine to be faked. It's like we've reached the point where lawlessness is a form of protest, and irresponsibility is rebranded as activism. Now, I'm not saying everyone on EBT is out there filming heist promos on TikTok, but let's be honest, when EBT Theft Day starts trending, something's broken on a much deeper level. Brian, I know you've seen these clips. What's your take? Desperation, entitlement, or just straight-up insanity?
Oh, it's insanity, Artie. Pure, weaponized insanity. We've built a culture that glorifies victimhood. You can scroll through 1,000 videos of people screaming that the system owes them something, but not one of them saying, "Hey, maybe I should get a job." That's the real virus. It's not hunger, it's entitlement. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who truly need help, and I'll fight for them every day. But if your first instinct to a benefit delay is, "I'm gonna loot Walmart," then you're not a victim. You're a criminal in training. And the fact that social media gives these tantrums a platform, that's what's killing America faster than inflation. We used to be a country of builders. Now we're a country of beggars with ring lights.
Beggar with a ring light might be the quote of the week. Daniel, I gotta ask, you think there's something more coordinated here? Because these videos all dropped right around the same time, same tone, same hashtags. It feels like someone's stirring this pot on purpose.
Exactly, Artie. You're looking at Psychological Operations 101. It's digital chaos engineering. You flood the timeline with fear, anger, and fake outrage, some real, some AI-generated, and the public starts to panic. People see 5 viral clips and think, oh no, the country's about to riot. Meanwhile, the architects of this garbage are sitting in some data lab, watching engagement metrics spike. Whether it's foreign influence or domestic manipulation, the goal's the same: divide, distract, and destabilize. They don't need a civil war. They just need enough people believing one's about to start. And this EBT hysteria? It's the perfect match in a dry field of economic frustration.
Yeah, the internet's basically the world's biggest panic machine. I swear, TikTok's the only place where people can film a crime and apply for sympathy in the same breath. Rachel, you've been watching this unfold from the media angle. What's your read on how this whole thing's been framed?
Honestly, it's a circus, Artie. The mainstream media's pretending it's not happening because it makes the "we care about the poor" narrative look bad. And the social media platforms? They're milking it for engagement while claiming to be fighting misinformation. The truth is, they love this chaos. It keeps eyeballs glued to screens. But underneath the noise, what's really going on is moral decay. We've stopped distinguishing between need and neglect, between empathy and enabling. And when outrage gets more clicks than responsibility, this is what you get: viral anarchy disguised as justice.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Skylar, I know you come at this from a more progressive lens, so I'm curious. How do you balance understanding people's desperation without excusing what's basically premeditated theft?
It's tough because some of those people are scared, and fear makes people do stupid things. When you're staring at an empty fridge and you've got kids to feed, logic goes out the window, but what frustrates me is how predictable all this is. Like, the government shuts down, the safety net phrase, and then everyone acts shocked when people start freaking out. We built this panic. We created the conditions. Now we're just watching the fallout like it's a Netflix series. The answer isn't to excuse the behavior. It's to fix the broken system that made it possible in the first place.
Fair point, Skylar. But here's the thing. Panic doesn't give anyone a free pass to break the law. If anything, it exposes how fragile our social fabrics become. When people start threatening to riot over benefits, it's not just a failure of government. It's a failure of culture, of family, of values. We've turned dependence into an identity and outrage into currency. Brian, you said it best. It's not hunger, it's entitlement. And to anyone out there thinking, November 1st is open season, let me save you some trouble. Walmart's got cameras, cops, and a country full of fed-up taxpayers who are tired of paying for other people's bad decisions. All right, before we dive into Hollywood's latest meltdown, quick pit stop at the Data and Dissonance merch shop. Because unlike Washington, we actually deliver what we promise. If you need a mug strong enough to survive a government shutdown, grab our Bitterroot Dark Roast Coffee Blend. Bold, unapologetic, and roasted right here in the USA. Or if you're feeling classy but caffeinated, go for the Rock Creek Medium Roast. That's the one Brian drinks before he goes full MAGA fire on Twitter. We've also got High Lakes Light Roast, our Wake Up and Choose Truth blend. Citrus, almonds, and that smooth chocolate kick that says, I don't do decaf and I don't do censorship. And don't forget the gear. Trucker hats, hoodies, Gen X shirts, and my personal favorite bumper sticker. I identify as non-binary. Perfect for when you want to ruin a Prius driver's morning. Every purchase helps support the show, fund the next round of chaos, and keep this independent studio alive and caffeinated. So hit the link in the episode description or go straight to our site. Stock up before the libs ban happiness. All right, let's get back to it. Because while you're sipping your Bitterroot roast, Jimmy Kimmel's serving another steaming cup of hypocrisy. And now, folks, we shift from the halls of Congress to the hollow halls of Hollywood, where moral superiority comes free with every laugh track. Late night legend, and by legend I mean relic, Jimmy Kimmel decided to take a break from his never-ending pity party to unload on Republicans about the shutdown. His big punchline? There is no Republican plan for health care. That's right. The same guy whose writer's room probably costs more than most Americans' annual healthcare premiums decided he's the new Surgeon General of Sanctimony. He mocked Trump's policies, blamed conservatives for starving children, and wrapped it all in that smug, performative compassion that makes you wish the laugh sign would short-circuit. The irony? Every time Kimmel opens his mouth about unity, his ratings drop another point. So maybe America's finally healing after all. Brian, I know you saw the clip. Please tell me you didn't throw something at the TV again.
Nah, I've learned to mute Kimmel the way I mute CNN for my blood pressure, but the man's lost it. He's not a comedian anymore. He's a DNC press release with a punchline. Remember when late night was about timing and jokes? Now it's therapy for people who still think Hillary won. The funniest thing about Kimmel's Meltdown is that he's yelling about Republicans not caring about poor people, while sitting in a multi-million-dollar studio in Hollywood, drinking imported water and lecturing truck drivers in Iowa about compassion. The guy's a hypocrite wrapped in an ego, dipped in virtue signaling, and sprinkled with fake tears.
Virtue signaling sprinkles. I'm stealing that for the merch line, Brian. Daniel, you've always said Hollywood's the propaganda arm of the state. Watching Kimmel this week, did it feel scripted or was that genuine Meltdown energy?
Oh, 100% scripted. These rants get approved by producers, corporate sponsors, and half a dozen lawyers before they hit the teleprompter. It's not spontaneous, it's strategy. You gotta understand, late night isn't about comedy anymore. It's about narrative reinforcement. They get their talking points straight from the same political machines that feed CNN. Kimmel plays the relatable everyman while parroting lines about healthcare and empathy. But it's just psychological theater. They don't care about truth. They care about compliance. And every time someone laughs, it's one more neural handshake saying, "Yep, I agree with the herd." That's not entertainment. That's conditioning with a laugh track.
Somewhere George Carlin's ghost just lit a cigarette and said, "Told you so." Rachel, you're usually the one who tries to find balance, but even you've got to admit, Kimmel's out here pretending he's Edward R. Murrow in a clown suit.
Oh, absolutely. The problem with Kimmel and his crowd isn't that they have opinions, it's that they think theirs are sacred. They used to roast everybody, politicians, celebs, the audience. Now, they only punch down at conservatives and call it courage. And it's funny. The same people who say comedy should speak truth to power go silent when it's their own side abusing power. You never hear Kimmel rip into big tech censorship or government waste. No, he just drags Trump and pats himself on the back for being brave. Real bravery is making fun of the people signing your checks, not dunking on half your audience for clout.
Exactly. Comedy used to unite people. Now it's a tribal drum, and the left wonders why ratings tanked. Skylar, you're the closest thing we've got to a Hollywood defender on this panel. I'm curious, did you think Kimmel was making a valid point or just milking the outrage economy?
I'll be honest, Artie. Both. Look, Kimmel has every right to criticize, but I agree he's lost his comedic edge. It's more sermon than satire now. But I also get where the frustration comes from. There is a real disconnect in this country when you see families struggling and politicians arguing about budgets like it's a game. It makes people angry. I think Kimmel just channels that anger badly. Instead of making people think, he makes them tune out. He could be a bridge. He chooses to be a billboard.
That's a great line, Skylar. A bridge or a billboard. You nailed it. And that's the bigger truth here. Hollywood had a golden opportunity to be the cultural glue again after years of division. But they blew it. They turned their microphones into megaphones for ideology, and the result is exactly what we're seeing. Outrage fatigue. Americans aren't laughing because they're exhausted. Comedy's supposed to be a pressure valve, not a pressure cooker. So when Kimmel sneers at conservatives and thinks it's brave, it's really just lazy. And here's the part he doesn't get. Working Americans aren't mad at him because he's liberal. They're mad because he stopped being funny. And somewhere Greg Gutfeld's probably watching saying, "Thanks for the ratings, Jimmy." All right, we'll wrap the circus right there. When we come back, it's final thoughts. Each of us weighing in on what this week's chaos says about where America's really headed. Spoiler alert, it's going to be loud, honest, and maybe just a little hopeful. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting warmed up. All right, folks, we've covered the shutdown circus, the EBT outrage apocalypse, and Jimmy Kimmel's emotional support meltdown. And after all that, you probably need a drink stronger than decaf. But here's the truth. America's going through something deeper than just political noise. Every story tonight, from government dysfunction to cultural decay, has the same theme: leadership failure. We've traded backbone for branding, truth for trends, and hard work for hashtags. So before we close out, let's go around the table one more time. Final thoughts from the crew. Then I'll hit you with mine.
You know, Artie, I keep hearing people say, this country's divided. No, this country's disconnected. We're disconnected from reality, from faith, from what made us tough. We've raised a generation that thinks Wi-Fi is a human right, but responsibility is oppression. Every time the government hands out another program, it takes away another piece of personal pride. The shutdown isn't the problem, it's the symptom. We need to get back to a place where people aren't waiting for DC to fix their lives. They're out there fixing it themselves. That's America, not the handout line, the hustle line.
I agree, Brian. But I think part of what's happening is we've lost our sense of balance. It's either outrage or apathy, and nothing in between. Real change doesn't come from chaos. It comes from character. I don't care what party you're from. If you're not willing to look at the numbers, admit what's broken, and rebuild with integrity, you're part of the problem. Americans are smarter than these politicians give them credit for. They just need leaders who treat them like adults again, not pawns in a blame game.
The shutdown, the social media meltdowns, the late-night propaganda. They're all connected. You can't control people with force anymore, so you control them with fear and distraction. Keep them scared, keep them scrolling, keep them dependent. That's the formula. But here's the thing. It only works if we keep playing along. The second people start thinking critically again, the second they question the narrative instead of echoing it, the whole illusion cracks. That's what we do here. Break illusions.
I'll admit, tonight hit harder than usual. Yeah, I lean progressive, but watching this chaos, it's clear the system doesn't care about labels. It's broken for everyone. We can talk about ideology all day, but it won't mean a thing if people can't afford food, healthcare, or rent. I still believe compassion and accountability can coexist. I just wish our leaders did too. I'd say maybe if more people stopped shouting and started listening, really listening, we could actually find some common ground again.
You know, listening to all of you, it hits me that we're living through the hangover of a country that's forgotten how to grow up. The shutdown is just the latest proof. We've become addicted to outrage, allergic to responsibility, and blind to how damn lucky we still are to wake up in the freest nation on earth. Yeah, we've got problems, big ones, but we also have grit, faith, and that stubborn spark that built this country in the first place. The politicians won't fix this. Hollywood won't. The media sure as hell won't. But maybe, just maybe, the people will. The families sitting around dinner tables figuring out how to stretch a paycheck, the veterans still serving in their own way, the single moms hustling 3 jobs and refusing to quit. That's the real America. So to everyone listening, stay sharp, stay free, and stay grounded. Don't let this chaos turn you bitter. Let it make you stronger. Because the moment you stop believing in this country, the people destroying it win. Remember, speak truth, stir thought. That's the mission. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Data and Dissonance. Huge thanks to Brian, Rachel, Daniel, and Skylar. Even when we don't agree, we never back down. That's how real conversation's supposed to sound. If you missed any of tonight's show, catch the replay on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. And while you're there, check out our new Truth Bombs album. Because if you thought the words hit hard, wait till you hear the beats. We'll be back tomorrow night with more truth, more laughs, and probably another headline that makes us all question reality. Until then, take care of each other, stand your ground, and never stop asking questions. Tonight's episode was brought to you by the Caleb Rourke Thriller series, my collection of high-octane novels about corruption, courage, and the fight for truth in a world gone mad. The Covenant Protocol and the Prophet Directive are out now, with Black Echo Rising coming soon. If you love political thrillers that make you think while keeping your pulse pounding, grab your copies on Amazon and join the movement. This is Data and Dissonance. I'm Artie J. Roy III, reminding you, truth isn't offensive, it's necessary. Good night, God bless, and as always, keep your coffee strong and your conscience stronger.